So this is Kia's take on the Hyundai Creta. Hi guys, Eric here and welcome back to my channel. Today we will be having a look at this 2020 Kia Seltos 1.6 EX manual. It looks beautiful and its interior is very impressive too. Is its beauty only skin deep though?
A really big thank you to the accommodating, thoughtful and helpful staff here at ASJ Motors. They have a huge selection of quality used cars located in 2 locations in the Overberg region. One is in the industrial area of Hermanus, the other is located on the main road of Verliesdorp. They are open for business, so be sure to check out their catalogue, link in the description box below.
If you live in the Western Cape and you have an original car in good condition you would like me to review, please get in touch. There's an email address in the description box below. The Seltos is a compact crossover that sits between Kia's small Sonnet and the bigger Sportage. It is interesting to note that the Seltos is actually split into 3 different models, each one for different markets. The biggest Seltos, called the SP2, is made in South Korea and is destined for developed markets like Australia, America and Canada. Then there is the SP2C, the model code for the Chinese market. It has the longest wheelbase of the 3. South Africa, along with other emerging markets, gets its Seltos from India, codenamed the SP2I. It is both a bit shorter in full length as well as wheelbase. 3 engines are available, a 1.5 turbo diesel with 86 kilowatts and a healthy 250 Nm of torque, a peppy 1.4 litre turbo petrol with 103 kilowatt and 242 Nm of torque, and a 1.6 normally aspirated petrol engine with 90 kilowatt and 151 Nm, the latter of which is fitted to our test unit. You also have a choice of a 6-speed manual or automatic transmission for the diesel and naturally aspirated petrol, and a 7-speed dual clutch auto for the turbo petrol. One thing that is very important to note is that our Seltos only received 3 stars from Global NCAP. That is quite worrying considering it is marketed as a family vehicle, and the similarly priced Hyundai Creta received the maximum 5 stars. When it comes to the Seltos' looks at least, I am thoroughly impressed. I love that you can immediately tell that this is a Kia. They understand how important brand recognition is. The front end has massive light clusters, a huge tiger nose grille, and this beautiful metal detailing framing both. The rear is more conventional, but I like the silver strip that mimics a light bar that is so popular at the moment. The profile is also quite conventional, but that isn't a bad thing as it hides quite a practical cabin. Speaking of which, the interior designers at Kia definitely deserve some praise and recognition in my opinion. Everywhere you look, there are tiny details that grab your attention. In the sea of car interiors that can be as bland as milk, especially at this price point, it is great to see an interior that is so unashamedly youthful, quirky and modern. There are some familiar design touches in here as well. The gauge cluster surround along with the infotainment system quite reminds me of the same setup you find in a Mercedes-Benz. These markings on this piece of trim looks almost exactly the same as those you would find in Lamborghinis, and this driver's information display is identical to those you would find in other Kias as well as some Hyundais. There does seem to be quite a disconnect between the upmarket and cost-saving parts in here though. You get a generous helping of piano black plastics and trim pieces with patterns on it, but you also get this plastic painted trim piece that belongs in a 2004 Opel Corsa. The steering wheel is a piece of art, which is great, but the climate controls look and feel a bit cheap. Let's dig a bit deeper though, starting with the door panel. Well, personally, I really like the design, for the most part at least. I love the metal door handle, these beautiful speaker covers, and the straight and simple design lines. But why make a trim piece the same color as the door itself? And why no padded armrest? At least put some seat fabric over the scratchy plastics. Lastly, this trim piece looks a bit unintegrated. It looks out of place. Thankfully, storage is very good. The door pockets are of a very decent size, and you get a big space that is integrated into the door's grab handle. The doors also feel nice and heavy and closes with a very nice thud. There is no doubt, however, that the main highlight of this cabin is the steering wheel. Other manufacturers, take note. This is how you do it. Its rim is wrapped in soft Napa leather. There is a generous helping of chrome as well as piano black plastics, and the buttons are of a very high standard. The steering wheel is also adjustable not only for rake, but reach as well, making it so easy to find a comfortable driving position. The stalks provide good dampening too, but they can be a little bit confusing at first glance. You do get used to it as you drive it though. It is worth noting too that I thoroughly love the font that Kia uses for its interiors. I remember Doug DeMuro mentioning it once in one of his videos, and I must wholeheartedly agree. It really helps it to stand out from the crowd. I do not envy the dials. They have to follow this beautiful piece of art that is the steering wheel, but there is quite a lot to like about them in their own right. They are very clean and simple, they are easy to read, and they have lovely chrome bezels to help liven things up a bit. I also really like seeing an analog fuel and water temperature gauge. In between the two analog dials, you will find a monocolor LCD driver's information display. It communicates a full trip computer, vehicle settings, and it is controlled using buttons on the steering wheel. Now for the infotainment system. I think it works really well. Its graphics are crisp and clear, and it is surprisingly responsive to my touch. It is also very well equipped. As standard, you get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is great, but you also get Bluetooth audio and a USB input. You even get physical shortcut buttons and dials for volume and tuner. I love the setup. The only small issue I have is with its loading times. It does take quite some time to go through different menus. Thankfully, this sound system packs a decent punch, and except for the loading times, I am all smiles. I must admit though, I am quite disappointed by the climate controls. There's nothing particularly wrong with them, they just look a bit cheap and they don't feel that great to use either. The gear lever, on the other hand, feels suitably upmarket with splashes of chrome and the knob head wrapped in leather. Considering the masterpieces that other manufacturers are releasing lately, the seats in the Seltos leave something to be desired. They look a bit too bland in my opinion, and this grey-green cloth doesn't really work for me. Thankfully, they are comfortable and they provide a good amount of support. The driver's seat is also adjustable for height, making finding a comfortable driving position just that much easier. With the design out of the way, let's talk practicality. Storage-wise, the Kia does very well. The undampened glove box is of a very decent size. You get a big tray area in front of the gear lever, 2 wide and deep cup holders, a generous space underneath the center armrest, big door pockets, and a sunglasses holder. All in all, more than enough for most people. The rear bench leaves me thoroughly impressed. Knee room is excellent. You can even slide your feet underneath the front seat to thoroughly stretch out. Headroom and storage is good too. Decent door pockets, integrated coin compartment, pockets behind each front seat, a tray area that is placed at an angle for smaller items, and 2 cup holders in this drop-down armrest. You even get your very own rear air vent, an essential amenity in this climate, whether it is in the middle of summer or the middle of winter. The seats themselves are a bit firm, which can hinder its long distance performance a bit. Now for the boot. It is a very decent size of 433 litres. Not only that, you get 4 tethering hooks and a single grocery hook as well. The rear seats fold flat in a 60-40 split. Now this does result in a slight ridge that hinders through loading, but it is by no means too intrusive. There is also no load lip either, so you can easily slide things in and out of the loading bay. Very practical indeed. Starting with driving around town, the Seltos is a doddle to pilot the urban jungle. The clutch is very light and intuitive, making it very easy to pull away from a standstill. The steering is equally light, the gearbox is slick, and the suspension is surprisingly soft and pliant, making for a very relaxing experience. All-round visibility is also very good, and the engine provides more than enough poke to do some lane weaving during rush hour traffic. As standard on this EX model, you even get a reversing camera and rear park distance control. So, even though the Seltos isn't the smallest car ever, parking isn't that difficult either. Out on the twisties, and this comfortable aforementioned suspension does have a drawback. Quite a lot of body roll. It never feels too unsettled though, so you always feel in control, but a mini BMW X5, this car is not. Out on the open road, and the Seltos does alright. The suspension is nice and soft, the seats are very comfortable, and the gearing means that the engine isn't screaming at you at our national speed limit. There are 2 things though that are less than great. While the engine is strong enough to keep up with traffic, overtaking does require some forward planning and a downshift or 2. Also, the cabin doesn't really feel as well insulated from the outside world. Tire roar and road noise is apparent, making for quite a loud experience. Considering how new the Seltos is, there isn't a lot of info regarding how reliable the Seltos is, but Kia is well known for good reliability, even though their prices of parts aren't the cheapest. When it comes to its rivals, you have quite a few contenders. There is the Hyundai Creta. It has a lavish design and a slightly better insulated cabin and longer warranty. Then there's the Renault Duster, which is quite a bit cheaper and has an excellent diesel engine, but it is showing its age a bit and it's not quite as refined. The most impressive car in my opinion here is the Haval H6 though. It is slightly more expensive model for model, but it beats the Kia in almost every aspect. It is a very impressive car and I hope to give it a full review soon. If you're looking for a well-made, attractive SUV with loads of curb appeal, the Seltos makes a good case for itself. If, however, you're looking to do lots of motorway miles, there might be a couple of options out there that is better suited. As with almost all segments lately, you are truly spoiled for choice. Regardless, the Seltos is an excellent car. Kia did a great job. Well done, Kia. Thank you so much for watching another one of my videos. If you enjoyed it, please remember to give the review a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, remember to subscribe to my channel and get notified of upcoming videos. I have loads more coming up for you guys, so stay tuned. I hope you guys have a great day. Until next time, bye.